So BTC busy falling over as we speak. There's red candles everywhere. These altcoins are bleeding. Is this the beginning of something potentially bigger? Guys, I know my tile's pretty scary, but we're going to talk about the reality of 53K BTC today and how we're going to deal with it if it's going to happen. So we're going to look at BTC in detail. We're going to look at some of these altcoins. We're going to see some of the trades I'm in, and we're going to try and plan our way out of this situation. Guys, we've got so much to talk about here today. Let's get right into it. And remember, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button so you know when I'm coming, and hit that notification bell. And 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗕 is here with a beautiful background again.
Smash the likes, man. Smash that likes.
As promised, the bullish goggles, they're staying on till the end of the year. Minimum. Okay, Banter Bubbles looks disgusting at the moment. I mean, the platform looks amazing. The UI is brilliant, but what I'm looking at here is pretty dodgy. Minus 14% on PopCat. Was that the top for meme coins? We're looking at that in a couple of seconds as well. And just all around messy. I mean, yeah, nothing much to speak of at the moment. There's been a little bit of chop today. We were in an injective trade on Sniper Club earlier today. We pumped up. We got stopped back at entry, and now this thing is starting to fall over. Are there more longs coming? Okay, so guys, stick around because I think we might get a long entry here on BTC, and maybe we can start jumping in on Prime XBT. So first things first, BTC on the 4 hour looking a little bit wobbly, but on the 4 hour we can see we do want to visit a hot zone here, the 61,600 region. This is a 618 fib pool. This ties in with these horizontal supports from the weekend. It also ties in with a trend for us. So things are looking okay here at 61,600. We also have quite a hot zone here on the liquidation front. If we take a look at the liquidation heat map, anything from 61,900 down to just above 61K looks like a nice little area for these guys to come and test. So I don't want to ape in just yet. I want to see this push down into the 618 region. I want them to grab some of that liquidity there, and then that could give us a sign for perhaps a little trigger there. So we are locked and loaded on Prime XBT. We are waiting to go. If we do get that opportunity, Ray is going to keep us posted. So currently on the 4 hour game plan, what are we looking at? Little bounce here, 61,600. I'd like to see that push up, but Bitcoin's got tons of work to do. Okay, we're going to talk about the daily chart just now. We're going to look at the bigger picture, but there's lots of work to do here on BTC. And the scary thing for me, or not scary, but for those of you guys that are interested in these types of things, the 200-day MA, that's been a massive marker for us over a long period, and we have got a big rejection underneath that. I don't like the look of that 200-day MA rejection there at the moment. It also hit our major hot zone here at 64K. So what I was planning earlier, well, last week, during the week, we were looking at this dump on BTC. Then we were looking at a couple of areas where we could have got a rejection that could potentially start the new downtrend for us. And this, unfortunately, looks like quite a solid rejection here on BTC. So this could be the beginning of a trend lower down. So we will look at the daily chart just to give you guys a better picture at the moment. But right now, if BTC wants to stay bullish and turn bullish, we need to get some kind of bounce out of the 61,600 zone. Then I want to see it start grinding higher and ultimately break that 200-day MA. So if we can start a process like this, then the bulls are going to be safe. The bulls are going to happen. And Ron says, what is going on with sentiment? Look, a couple of red candles here. You know, people feel the pressure. And we need to start looking at levels lower down when we do get those types of situations. So number one, 61,600, watch that. If we get a bounce, massive zone for us, 64K, not expecting much there, expecting a rejection in that area again if we do push into that zone. So we're going to watch that one carefully. So that is what I'm watching now for the next, say, 12 hours, 24 hours. That is what I want to see. If they do send us lower in the next 24 hours, guys, you need to watch 60,800. That's a big reaction zone for you. There's anchored VWAPs here. We got our 50-day MA as well. And then a little bit lower down, I've got the August anchored VWAP at 59,500. So those are your big levels you're watching to the downside on the 4 hour time frame. Now we're going to take a look at the daily in a couple of seconds. We're also going to take a look at some of these altcoins that are potentially looking a little bit bearish now. So they've also rejected off major areas now on the higher time frames, 12-hour daily. Is this a sign of some more downside to come? So we're going to get down and dirty. First things first. Unpopular opinion here from Emperor. Meme local top is in. Late bulls will be punished. Was it a sign that everybody was talking about a meme super cycle? Was that a sign of the top, right? Was that the top, bro?
Definitely. 100%.
Well, the meme super cycle is here. Okay, and I think we looked at it in depth yesterday. There's a lot of arguments for it. And when we were looking at some levels yesterday, we looked at some degen levels, but we also looked at the bigger time frame levels. So right now, anyone who was buying those memes on bigger time frames, you guys are good, you guys are solid. There's major supports that you can play with. So there's nothing to sweat about just yet on these meme tokens. We did have some major levels there that we're expecting them to hold. So don't panic just yet. Okay, let's see how that plays out. But I think memes are here to stay regardless. And we'll call it the super cycle until proven otherwise. Now, a Wells notice, for those of you who want to know, when the SEC sends a Wells notice, it basically means you're in shit. And there's going to be some kind of legal situation going on. And Crypto.com have now received one. So that could have been a little bit of bearish spice trickling around in the market in the last couple of hours. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. If the big boss comes and says you're in shit now, then people, they get a little bit tense. And another thing that could be a little bit bearish at the moment is the Chinese liquidity hype trade. Okay, that's been running for the last 2 weeks, the last 10 days. This thing's been pumping, as you know. And what's happened now is that Chinese stocks went up this morning by 6%, but the Hong Kong stock collapsed 9.4%. The Hang Seng has fallen over. Okay, and there might be a little bit of contagion there in the US markets too, because Walter Bloomberg reported earlier that US listed shares of Chinese firms were dropping pre-market. Okay, so is that little sell-off now happening, and is that contributing to the current bear situation that you are finding yourself in the market? So here's Alibaba. This is a Chinese stock listed on the New York Stock Exchange as well. And I've just pulled it out on the weekly just for reference for you guys. And you can see this thing was due some kind of dump. It was due some kind of pullback. It's pumped on the weekly into major horizontals. So it was a beautiful couple of weeks trade there on some of these Chinese stocks. Now it's typical that it would reject at some kind of major area. So I suppose if we look at it this way, and we can say, okay, I mean, that Chinese trade is definitely not over. We know they're pumping liquidity and they're doing all these things, but everybody's allowed to take some profit. Everybody's allowed to sell. And you'll probably find a lot of these guys, these headlines and all these things, but a lot of these guys take profits at these major areas. And this is a major weekly level. And I'm pretty sure you're going to see that play out on a lot of other Chinese stocks. So overall, super bullish still. But a little breather is more than allowed in these current conditions. And then the S&P, seems a little bit unfazed at the moment. So we had a red day yesterday. That wasn't a good look, but we're back in the green today, and things are moving up. And we've noticed that NVIDIA is breaking some horizontals here. And I thought this could be a cue for us to take a look at a couple of AI tokens as well in the market. Maybe we're going to get a little bit of spice on some of the AI tokens out there on the crypto market. So today I do have a couple of AI plays. I've got Near for you. I've got Tao that I'm playing around in along with right now. I've got Render, and I even got AI Tech for you guys. So we're going to take a look at that. Ramesh says everything is dumping. Let's see. Where are we on the BTC? It's a little recovery bounce here. Okay, we've hit. I don't like that we bounced a little early here. I want to go a little bit deeper here. I want to push. I don't want to front run these zones too much. I want things to go a little bit deeper for us. US Supreme Court rejects $4.4 billion Silk Road Bitcoin case. Why is this important? Well, it's the top court denied the hearing. Battleborn Investments or whatever, they had a claim 69,000 BTC, but that's now paving the way for the government to sell. Okay, so that could potentially start putting pressure on the market. There could have been a bearish reaction to this headline as well. Now remember, it takes the government ages to get their shit together and they act together and to eventually sell, but typically the market would now panic saying, the US is going to sell 69,000 BTC, but this could take 6 months before anything happens there, so even longer. So, there's a lot of things in the headlines at the moment that are potentially pushing that price lower. James, come on, bro. Family show. What's going on here? I see Turbo's pumping. That's one we haven't looked at in a while as well. Okay, what does Borovic have to say? He says, Robinhood Chief Legal Officer Dan Gallagher is favored to replace Gary Gensler as SEC chair if Trump is elected president. I mean, that sounds relatively bullish to me. So, long term, things are looking okay. If we get that Trump win there, then things could be all right. And then one more note from DB. He says the judges approved the FTX bankruptcy plan. This came out yesterday, clearing the path to repayments. Now, we've already looked at this situation, and this is going to take up to a year for everybody to get paid out. So all the hype that people thought they were going to get a massive $16 billion liquidity pump into the crypto markets in October, that is unfortunately faded, and that now is going to be playing out over a longer period of time. So it might not be as noticeable as people arriving with 16 billion and just dumping it there on the markets. Okay, so before we get into some of these altcoins, just a reminder, guys, the WSOT, the World Series of Trading, starts in 2 days' time on ByBit. Join us, join the Banter squad. We've got a full team ahead. That team is growing pretty quickly as well. And we are looking to, we want a strong finisher. It's the entire Banter team. We're all together doing this as one solid base. So there's our squad at the moment. Click on the link in the show description. You can just go under the show here and click on more, and you'll see all my links over there. One of them is the ByBit World Series of Trading. That should take you to join our team. So please jump in there, join our squad, and let's get firing there. Ray, I'm very upset with this BTC bounce here. I wanted lower, bro. This is a problem for me. Can you tell us about these 3-minute candles? What's going on there on your side?
Doesn't look like it's a pop. It's a real bounce. I'm not sold either.
You're not sold on this one. Okay, Ray, keep us posted.
It's under the daily, and it bounced just right on the first line of the monthly. It bounced off of VWAP, so it'll probably come back down.
Okay, let's wait and see. If we do get that opportunity, we're going to look at it. Now, let's talk BTC on the daily, just to give you guys a perspective as to why I'm suggesting we could be in some kind of downtrend. So you can see I've pulled a trend here after that major rejection. So we don't like to see a rejection candle like that, especially on the daily. It's not a good look. Okay, and typically what happens in these scenarios, if we go back into the past, we had a major dump, then we had a big pump, and then they sold it off again. Okay, now we've had a major dump. We've had a major pump. Now we've had a dump. We've pumped up again. Okay, what happens next? Okay, if we're starting this downtrend, we could easily see this type of situation start playing out with BTC. As long as there's bearish headlines floating around, we need to just pay attention to what is going on. Now, we can all agree that bigger picture things are super bullish, and we are still expecting to finish stronger in October. It's still only the 8th of October. A lot can still happen. We've got CPI, we've got PPI this week as well, Thursday, Friday, absolute bangers coming into the market. So lots going on here. In the current week that we are dealing with. So we need to just be cautious and play it safe at the moment. And the downside targets for me on the daily chart, you can see my lows is this 52,800. And don't forget that low ties in with our CME gap on the 5-minute chart. There is a massive gap on the 5-minute chart on BTC from 54,500 down to 53K. So if they really start sweating us lower in these types of levels, why wouldn't they come and just sort that little gap out before they start pumping us? So watch out for that. That is my bear case fully disclosed there for you guys. And I hope I haven't shocked you too much, because I did shock a couple of guys on Twitter today. I want to show you this post. And I dropped the Sol chart on Twitter earlier today, and some of the guys got upset with me in the chats underneath in the comments. But I was just basically pointing out what I pointed out to you guys now on BTC, and we're going to look at this in depth. We're going to look at ETH, a couple of other charts as well, and this thing could be the start of a trend pushing lower. Okay, it's a very simple chart here that we're looking at, and you can see a downtrend in play. And if this downtrend plays out, we most likely start printing new lows. Okay, we pump up and down, and it's not like we're not going to have fun along the way. But Sol, for example, opens 120, and there's one guy was like angry with me. Where's he? He says, this guy, Crypto 28, he says, lol, you've been so bullish, pulling all of your followers, hand your bearded head in shame. I don't know. I don't think I've been that bullish. We've been watching, if anyone's been watching my show, I think last week I called 4 bearish moves in a row, I think last week, Ray. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. But even last week, I was talking about a 53K target and dumps, and we were talking about sell-offs. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I being offended?
I've posted that CME gap chart like 16 times. If you guys haven't gotten the clue, I don't know what to say.
The clues are all there. Okay, so we don't need to be unnecessarily bearish. We just need to look at what is in front of us and play it accordingly. So total 3, this is the total crypto market excluding BTC and ETH. And right now, this is actually still bullish. Okay, so everybody can chill that's upset with me for saying we are now too bearish. Look at this thing. This is the daily downtrend we are looking at. And right now, we've had a retest of the trend. We've retested the 100-day MA. We've retested the 50-day MA, the trend, and the horizontal. So right now, I don't want to say critical, but this is a massive zone for these altcoins. And you're probably going to find a lot of them are sitting on or around support bands here. And we want to see a nice, strong bounce on these levels. So let's keep our eyes on this $580 billion level. And it would be pleasant, I think, if we then start grinding higher. And notable again, another rejection on another chart in crypto of the 200-day MA. This is a very important moving average to have on your charts. If you don't have it, I strongly suggest you get these on to your chart. So look out for that guy. And then a big one for us today is dominance. Now, we were watching this flag over the last couple of days, and I dropped in Sniper Club earlier today. I was saying, look, this thing is starting to pop out here. It's starting to look a little bit bullish. So if this flag does break on dominance, there are 2 zones that you need to watch very closely. And these are the zones where you can get some kind of altcoin relief. Now, if this rejects now, naturally, you're going to see the altcoins will start bouncing from their levels. But if we do push higher and there is more pressure on the altcoins today, you want to pull out your dominance chart, look for a rejection, 58.38, 58.4, or you're looking for a rejection at 58.6. Now, remember, a pumping dominance when Bitcoin is flat or falling over is not a good look for altcoins. It's not a good look for degens that are trading leverage. So just make sure you guys are playing super safe out there with a lot of your stops and things like that. And now let's talk about the old warhorse, if I can eat. And Cisco Kid, take a look at this thing. Take a look at this beard. Take a look at this. Look at the cut on this thing. Isn't it? Look at this perfection. And I must tell you, Ray actually introduced me to his beard barber originally. That's how far back it was. Ray was in Cape Town and he was chilling with us and he had the most beautiful beard. And I had to use that beard guy. Okay, let's go. ETH on the, this is ETH on the 12 hour. Now, why is this looking bearish? If we just play a typical trend situation. Okay, if we play a trend game where we decide if something's bullish or bearish based on a break or loss of trend, then we can look at ETH with our bear hats on the 12 hour. Okay, so you can see what we've done here. We've got a rising trend on ETH. We've now lost that rising trend. What happened? We lost it. We did a hard retest. What did we reject off? 50-day moving average, horizontals in this band as well, and the trend. Okay, so that is just a typical loss of trend. That's the bearish loss of trend. For those bulls trading breakout trades on trends, it's the exact same principle. So what did we get here? We got to pump through the trend. We've got a retest. Now we're looking for a bounce. Okay, so this is just a typical trend play, and we're just dishing out information that is in front of us. Okay, and just like I was doing on Twitter today, just sharing some information that I have in front of me that could be relevant to you guys. And if we do have a loss of trend, that is, it's known to be typically bearish in the past. So we're going to look at, we can look at ETH with our bear hats on now and start identifying some hot zones. And the big one for me, if we do start going lower. So now if this trend is going to continue to the downside, that for me is your most likely next bounce area. The 2,200 region is what you're going to be looking at for ETH. Now that is just making the assumption that this trend is now bearish. We've lost the rising trend and we are now starting a new downtrend. Okay, so if that new downtrend plays out, the next big bounce zone for me, where I'm looking for a nice degen play on ETH 2,200 to 2,270, that type of level looks like a typical bounce zone. Now that might not be the bottom of ETH. It could just be a little pump for us that we'll be able to exit or look for some kind of short, but typically you're going to get a rejection like that, and that's what we're going to look for if that does happen again. So ETH traders, if there's anybody still out there that does ETH or likes ETH, and let me know if this is the absolute shittest coin you guys don't want to see on my show. Also, just let me know in the chats how you guys are feeling. Let's see who else is there. Cheney says he's so sick of this shit. Guys, how was this chop? In the last hour and a half, when I was getting ready for the show, the candles ripped up, the candles ripped down, they bounced again, and then they all started falling over again. So proper messy there. Emir says, when pump the moon? And what else have we got? Ron says he ain't scared. And yeah, look, James, I know you appreciate my beard. I know you do. Who else is going? Bye, hi. shave the beard. Ramesh, bro, this beard's never coming off. Never. And Arctic Trading is currently shorting Rune. Now, I got into an AVAX short. I'm going to take you guys through that as well as a hedge play. And I'm going to take you through that chart in a couple of seconds. Let's just deal with Sol again on the higher time frame. So here we are. Okay, still okay. Now, I said earlier today on Twitter that we want to hold 140 if we're going to try and stay bearish on Solana. And right now, with that dump on BTC, you can see Sol is hanging on. And it's hanging on to the anchored VWAP from September. It's hanging on to the anchored VWAP from August. It's hanging on to the 50-day MA. So that is why I was adamant that this 140 region is a strong zone for us on Sol. Now, heaven forbid we start losing that thing, because then it starts looking something like that. And then we start that little downtrend. So right now, if you are sitting in a Sol position like me, you watching 140. Okay, you don't want to start losing 140. Okay, that is where I need to start cutting that Sol long that I've been sitting in for basically feels like 10 years. But if we start losing that zone, then I'm probably going to start trimming that position. I don't want to be in a situation you saw on ETH. I got a full round trip on that one. I don't want to do the full round trip on Sol. So we're going to see how this plays out. If we do dip a little bit lower today, 135, that is the zone you want to be watching. That is your next potential reaction area. There you can get a scalp long into that type of situation. And then you can typically look for a TP or a short back at 144, something along those lines. So just looking out for that on Sol. So we're not going to go degen on Sol. We're just looking at big levels here. So it's 140, it's 135.8. Watching that closely. I'm really watching that one closely. Okay, and NVIDIA shares. Okay, so this was pre-market from Walter Bloomberg, and NVIDIA was looking quite strong earlier today. So let's see how we are. We got a little horizontal breakout on NVIDIA, and we know NVIDIA is good for the S&P. NVIDIA is good for sentiment. NVIDIA is good for tech sentiment, and sometimes that rolls into crypto sentiment. So I quite like the look of this NVIDIA pop of horizontals. What I would suggest, if anybody there is trading NVIDIA, you just want to watch out a couple of levels here, but things could get nice and interesting for us. So if we do get a little push further here, you're typically looking for that rejection. Then you're going to look for some kind of buy. We will figure out where that would be, most likely on some kind of horizontal and 382 fib. And then you're looking for higher levels there. So good start for NVIDIA. Nice little pop. And what is this, Chris? What did Chris say? I missed that. So thanks to this beautiful bastard, I finally have drive out a dump away. Well, I'm glad it's helping, bro. I'm glad I'm helping you guys. What else have we got? Let's see. Khalid says Nero could have changed your life in 30 days. Look, that Nero was a savage, and there were two Neros at one point. There was one on ETH and one on Sol. I think I got the one on Sol. Then they switched to the one on ETH. It was a messy situation, that Nero. So I just steer away at the moment on that thing. Okay, so NVIDIA potentially bullish source flowing into AI tokens for us and flowing into crypto. And that takes me to Tower. This is the first one I want to show you guys. So we know Tower on the daily, we understand there's a big target ahead. That's 720 to 760. That for me looks like it's achievable for us on Tower. And we've got our main support at 480. Now, I've taken a Tower position on ZoomX. Now, I haven't traded ZoomX since that ZoomX competition that we had. So I've dusted off the ZoomX account, and we're going to have a go on this one. And I've opened Tower. You can see what I've done here. I've opened a 10x position on ZoomX using $500, and I want to test out their new the way they adjust the leverage here. On ZoomX, you can literally adjust your margin. I mean, you adjust your margin in the top right-hand box, and it automatically frees up your capital for you. It takes it out of your isolated trade. So if you start a position on ZoomX with whatever leverage, 10x, and then you go ahead and you start raising that leverage, it automatically frees up that money there. So if you can see, I've got 500 margin in the current Tower trade on 10x, and then we can raise this leverage, and then it takes it out for us. So you don't typically want to do it now. You want to wait till the trade is cooking and obviously pushing further up. When your trades are green, then you can raise that leverage. It automatically takes the margin out for you. So you're de-risking the amount you've invested in the trade, and then you can use that for a new trade, or you can take those funds out. So they've just made it quite simple. I mean, you can do it on other platforms. You manually remove it, but ZoomX actually auto takes it out for you. So you can see after I increased it to 25, they've only left $200 margin in that trade. So now I'm going to move it back to 10x because I want to just make sure I'm covered there from liquidations and things like that. So you can see my position here. My average entry is 631 and my liquidation is sitting at 580. So what I'm looking at here, and I'm going to highlight the zone of interest on the next chart for you guys, and I'm going to explain why this is interesting. 596. If we lose 596, that is an area where I'm going to be looking to cut this tower position, because that's telling me that the market is potentially falling over a little bit. So let's look at tower here on the 1 hour chart. And if we look at that bigger picture, we can see it's trying to break higher, but we don't have a definitive higher time frame zone that we can play with. But what we can do is dial in onto the 1 hour and look for potential degen setup. So if Bitcoin is relatively polite to us, okay, so the factors we need: strong S&P, Nvidia looking good, and Bitcoin to behave itself. Okay, I wanted to hold that 618 fib. I would expect that if we do hold that zone, tower could dip a little bit more into the 600 region for us, but I'm looking for that to hold, and then ultimately looking for that to send up into our 700 to 750 target region. So very simple game plan here. I'm just playing an SR flip. So you can see we've broken the horizontals, we've popped through, we've done that retest that I love so much. Now we want to see if the bulls are going to follow through here and send it. But unfortunately, these bulls are most likely going to need to be helped by BTC behaving itself. So big level here for me at 600 for tower. If you are looking for a play, my exit plan is going to be sub 593, sub that region, because that tells me we are losing that trend and we might be heading a little bit lower. So for me, bigger picture on tower, that could mean that we start drifting to much lower levels down here, and maybe we're going to visit that 480 zone. So it's a degen play for those of you that are interested. Those are your key levels that you are watching. And remember, if we do get a bleed out on the market, tie in with BTC dropping onto that 618. So let's watch the zone here. Oh, here it comes, right? Beautiful. 61,600. See where tower is sitting. When BTC is at 61,600, take a look at your tower and see if it's sitting in this zone. That could indicate that if Bitcoin's going to bounce there, tower should bounce there. If BTC loses that trend, then you're most likely going to see tower start losing that trend as well. So play safe there. And yeah, you get the plan. You get the game plan. Another AI play for me on NVIDIA strength. This could be NIA. So I've banged out NIA on the 12 hour. I've also got a degen set up for you guys. And just out of interest here for NIA, you can see bigger picture. We've got a nice strong rising trend. So that's looking good so far. Okay, so we're staying bullish here on NIA for now. And you can see bigger picture time frame here. We are testing this region now. This 4.8, 4.9 zone is looking interesting here for us on NIA, but clear downtrend in play. Okay, so that is our bigger picture. So we can see this stuff is potentially bearish. Now we can look at NIA on a lower time frame and say, okay, cool. We understand bigger picture. We might be trending lower, but where can we snag some kind of short-term bounce, or where can we snag some kind of short? Now, those of you that have watched me long enough, you know that I don't like to short on support. I like to short on a pump, on a nice green candle into a hot zone, and the same with longs. I don't necessarily want to long that much at resistance bands. We like to long on solid support regions.
Hold on, man. Hold on.
Yes, sir.
Why are we shorting the likes, guys? Seriously,
guys, did you rug me? You guys are rugging me on the likes here.
Totally getting rugged on the likes. Seriously,
guys, don't rug me on that. Come on,
we have to chill until we get the likes up.
It's everyone's panicking, Ray. I don't blame them. They're panicking. The market's red.
Okay. Let's go.
Degens. Okay, I'm talking to the degens now. Okay, this is like this is the psychos here that I'm talking to now. There could be an opportunity here on NIA. Okay, so first thing you're going to watch, you can see NIA has dipped now into this trend. It's dipped into the short-term anchored VWAP from the October dumps. Okay, so we might have a temporary support here in play for NIA 4.87. You could potentially use that if you want to play a rising trend play here on NIA. We can see what's going on. Okay, rising trend in play. We could look for some kind of bounce. Now the game plan here naturally is going to be, you can see we've got a very sharp downtrend. Okay, so if we do get a bounce there could be a little rejection and they send it lower. So what you can do is use that current support, 4.87. If this does get a bit of energy and it starts breaking this trend, then you can start adding to to that near position and try and send that one higher. So that's a degen, proper degen setup here for you guys. So watching that 8.76. Now, if we do dip a little bit lower, I've got another higher conviction zone, which I suspect will tie in with more BTC weakness, and that is going to be 4.75. Okay, watching that area pretty closely as well. That's our September VWAP playing out, and a typical 618 dump for us. So there's two potential degen plays here for you guys. Let's mark them out. First one is that. Okay, let's see the type of stop we got here. It's about a 1.3% risk play. Your upside is going to be pretty small. Okay, your upside is about 6 to 7% at best, what you're looking at. Then a little bit lower, if you do get that push into that 618, you're going to look at a similar size stop. And yeah, you're going to look at about a 6% play, because ultimately what you're going to do, and I'm going to show you on a couple of other charts how to mark this out. You're going to look for your rejection zones where you can get the short and where you can TP by pulling fibs. So that is what you guys are going to be looking at. So near potential long opportunity lower down 4.75. Now, typically what you want to do is see what they're doing here. They're reacting in this zone. They're consolidating in this area, and you want some kind of structure. So the same game plan here. If we dip into that zone, you're looking for some kind of structure there, maybe a little stop hunt, and then a push higher off that region. So these are the hot zones I would watch for near. And then potential targets, your best bet is going to be 5.2 to 5.3. That is pretty much your highest bet. But what I would suggest here for the degens, if these things start running like we did earlier today in Sniper Club, we had injective started pumping, and then your safest bet, raise your stop. When that thing starts pumping, just bring your stop up. Okay, when things are a little bit uncertain out there, raise your stop, de-risk relatively quickly, and then you'll be okay. What's Audrey says, pucking more than panicking, but always thumbs up to the show. Guys, don't forget, if you like the show, hit the likes. Another AI play, Render. This thing's been super quiet. We know Render partnerships with Apple. Lots of good things happening with Render. Okay, we understand. And that's always been the go-to play on NVIDIA news. So a bit disappointing that that Render's been so flat lately. But just like Near, there's two opportunities. Now, one of them is an opportunity that DJ and David and I discussed in the Sniper Club live Zoom sessions. If you are looking for a swing long on Render, there's a couple of options here. You can either start building a position in this current zone that we were looking at, and then you can look to add a little bit lower down if we dip into that next region. So zone number one is here at trend 5.2. Then you can look to add at 4.9. Now that's a different, that's a non-degen. Well, it's a little bit degen, but I mean, it doesn't suit the 20x leverage guys. Okay, this is the low margin stuff where you want to build a position because you have conviction that BTC holds certain levels, and then this thing's now going to drop. You can build your size, and then you can look for that swing long. So if you are looking, or you're inclined that way, and you're looking for something like that, there could be two opportunities here for Render. If you are more of a degen type player, well, what I would suggest here is wait for this dip into that 786, because Render has lost the 618. Render has lost the 50-day. It's lost the anchored VWAPs from August and September. So from that perspective, it's looking relatively bearish. But I suspect if we do dip into this type of zone, we should get some kind of bounce. Now, that could be the start of some kind of bear trend, or it could be a push higher into your next 382 fib. So you're going to have to look for that one and play it by ear. Literally, as you know, sentiment changes super quickly in crypto. It takes one red candle, everybody's super bearish, a couple of green candles, and then we're firing away again doing meme shows. Okay, so you understand how sentiment can change super quickly. So Ramesh, come on, bro. What's going on here, Ramesh? See, I hope she's not watching this show, bro. I really hope she's not. Okay, so Render, just to close on Render, you can see if we're going to hold this rising trend, you're looking at longs 5.2. Okay, that's a vibe. If we do lose this trend, your next reaction zone for me is this juicy middle region here. You can see we got 786. We got tie-in with horizontals as well, and a nice little potential reaction zone for us. So two options there on Render. Upside targets for now that I would keep my eyes on: 5.68. 6.11. Those are your upside plays that you can look at there on Render. Then don't forget, I touched on AI tech last week. I was talking about the Uber for basic, the Uber for GPUs basically, and they're launching their marketplace on the 9th. That is tomorrow. So big news happening on AI tech, guys. So for those of you that remember, we've been tracking this one for quite a long time, and I've always been watching this on the weekly. It's not really a degen play. This is a smaller cap type play that you're looking at, and we've held onto massive support for a very long time here. This 0.8 region, look at that, 0.7 to 0.8. That weekly zone has been held on, and this marketplace is going live. Maybe they're going to start making money. Maybe things are going to start happening there. So AI tech back on the radar, and it's got lots of work to do. We're under the 200-day MA, but we highlighted these targets previously, and I think in bullish conditions we should see these type of prices at some point. So looking at about 120% there on AI tech, 220% if we do chase it to that 618. So eyes on AI tech. Marketplace launches tomorrow. Let's watch the news. Let's see how it's received out there. Let's see if that stuff starts cooking, and then I suspect AI tech could start moving a little bit there. Michael says, what did he say? He needs a what? He needs a banter bag so my kids can stop calling. Come on.
I mean, I don't know if that's worse than liquidation. What's worse, that or liquidation?
Why are there so many comedians here today? Guys, I tell the jokes around here. Come on, why are there so many funny guys in the chats today? Okay, let's talk 𝗬𝗎. This thing hurts me. Okay, this thing keeps me awake at night. It gives me nightmares and of things that could have been. Okay, so 𝗬𝗎, Cato AI. Okay, be like 𝗬𝗎, they say. The sentiment is at an all-time high. Mindshare is at an all-time high. Price is approaching all-time high. Okay, don't fade the hype. Okay, I try to fade the hype. I think that short hit like 200% up. And what did I do? I waited for 1.4, never came, rinsed. Okay, so when there's a hype token, let's take lessons out of that. When there is a hype token, get your shorts if you want to, but the shorts are short-lived. Okay, as I experienced there on 𝗬𝗎. So I missed this opportunity. This must have happened late yesterday. When did this happen? It pumped. I wasn't even watching this thing, but this thing sent back into our major rejection area. So anybody who was paying attention on my show yesterday, okay, 2.18 got pinged on 𝗬𝗎. Okay, like almost to the dollar was a rejection area there for us. So anybody who got that, hats off to you. I'm jealous. Okay, I'm very upset because you are 10% up on your short from simply shorting a pump into a big resistance band. So it was 2.18 there on 𝗬𝗎, and now it's too late for me. Okay, the things I look for the big reaction there, then the loss of trends and stuff we look later on when we do lose the trends. But right now the big game on 𝗬𝗎 has been taken, the 2.18. Now it's anyone's guess as to how far this goes down, but what really bothers me is the size of this bearish divergence that continues to play out on 𝗬𝗎. Now, we can see this RSI is above the 50 level. Okay, so that keeps it relatively bullish, I suppose. But we can see the price is rising. The RSI is pushing lower. At some point, this thing is going to come down to 1.4. But I mean, I might be saying this for the next 6 months when 𝗬𝗎's at like $10 or something insane. So yeah, don't take my word for it on 𝗬𝗎. I'll give you the great areas though. I unfortunately missed the boat on that. And just be careful. Okay, if you're shorting 𝗬𝗎, just be careful with that situation. Okay, let's see what is going on here. This is my ByBit situation. So I've got some GRT under pressure here. This has been under pressure now on this BTC sell-off, and we are pushing lower. You can see my GRT stop is now at entry on ByBit. That is sitting at 0.1577. Okay, so they're going to stop me out all square here if we do push a little bit lower. Then I've got this AVAX short that I opened earlier today. I'm going to show you that AVAX chart. I'm going to try and show you why it was interesting to me. You guys can then obviously use that on other setups for yourselves. And then I've got Solana that is it's bleeding back. Okay, so it's pushing back down. We really want to see it hold that 140 level. Don't really want to dip lower. I don't feel like another round trip situation. Okay, so here is AVAX. This is on the 1 hour. And when I was prepping charts earlier today, we had a short little pump in the market, and it was pretty interesting that AVAX started pushing into a resistance band. We had our 382, our previous 382 that we lost. Okay, so we had 382 as support. You can see in this region. Then we lost it. What did we do? We pushed up. We retested a 382. We retested the horizontals. We retested the trend. Okay, and that was a potential trigger there for an AVAX short situation. So as a hedge play there, I jumped into AVAX. You can see I'm still net long on these things, and that was just to protect the account a little bit. So you can see the situation now on AVAX. We do have a bounce at the moment on the 618. So this is definitely a zone of interest for us, and just a typical 618 coming into play. Now we know there's certain crypto or certain tokens that love the 618, and AVAX, look, it generally responds pretty well to that. So 26 is the current support you're going to be watching on AVAX. But now, I'm going to hold the short, and I'm going to keep my stop under those highs. So the highs are going to be 26.9, that type of region. And, any push higher, then I'm looking for this thing to start moving lower. Once we turn super bullish, you're probably going to see a situation where AVAX breaks through these levels, okay? And then naturally SOL will be pumping, GRT will be pumping, and the rest of the market will be pushing up. And then we can chop that short and then send that one potentially a little bit higher there for us. So we're going to watch how this plays out now today, but just another great example of a 618 reaction, and we had extra confluence here. Look at this anchored VWAP coming into play there for us too. So a couple of levels of confluence. Remember, you always want to have at least say 3 levels of confluence if you are looking for a reaction, or you're looking for an entry zone or a TP zone. You want to have a big area, and for me a big area could be the 618, could be tied in with horizontals, could be tied in with an anchored VWAP. That's 3 things that could give you a reaction in a zone. So that is why AVAX looked interesting there to me. Now if we take a look at AVAX from this bigger picture, if we just zoom out, bigger picture, but we zoom out on the 1 hour here, you can see we've lost that trend from the August lows to the high. Now this thing is potentially turning bearish. So if there is pumpage here, maybe we're just going to start trending lower. So we're going to have to play this one accordingly, play it by ear, watch your levels. If you reclaim certain levels, then we can change our bias as we go. If we lose certain levels, then we start shifting our bias more bearish as we go down. Big one for me is going to be the 50-day MA and the 100-day MA. That's 25. That's a huge level there for AVAX that we need to watch. If you start losing that, then all hell breaks loose. Okay, then AVAX for me coming back to 24, testing the October lows once again. Okay, so simple game plan there on AVAX. And then I've got a couple of setups for you guys, longs and shorts, that I think could potentially be playing out. So number one here is Peppy. This has been a hot one for me. Love this Peppy. And right now it's starting to lose a current level. And I wanted to give you guys a game plan that you can work with. So the big area that I was watching when we started getting that second dump there in the market, I had my eyes fixated on this multiple zeros 9145. Okay, that is a nice zone for me. I've got an anchored VWAP coming up, and I've also got multiple levels of support here. You can see this band over here looks like a nice little zone. Okay, so game plan number one for me earlier today, if we get that dip on BTC that we want, we're looking for that trigger in that type of region. We want to see what reaction we get there. For me, that's a potential long play on Peppy that we're going to look at for a bounce. So you're looking for that bounce. Then what can happen there after that? It can break a trend. It can start firing. Then you can start adding to that position and just raising your stop a little bit along the way. Michelle says, I would individually count every hair in your beard for that bag of banter. Are they giving a banter bag away here? Am I missing something, right? Did I miss the news feed yet? What else have we got? Did I miss something? Ray's gone.
I don't know. I'm not sure. We have to check in.
Really? Huh?
Nothing. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, Zweleti says Peppy is hurting my bags. Well, I'm trying to come to the rescue here, bro. There's a couple of options here on Peppy. So you've got your first sort of sell-off level, because you can see now we printed new lows. Okay, on Peppy on the 1 hour, we printed these new lows. So now this zone at the bottom does come into play. But what you can also look for here, you can just pull yourself a trend line on the 1 hour. You can see we've got this anchored VWAP from the October dumps. If we start pushing higher, Zweleti, and we break that trend, okay, you can probably bang your stop under that anchored VWAP at multiple zeros 964, and then you're going to start looking for this thing to start churning higher. Now, if you are a little bit bearish on the market situation, and we do get a short-term pump here out of BTC, but BTC stays under that 200-day MA, it stays under that 64K region, that could give you an opportunity for some potential short plays on your altcoins, okay? And you're typically going to take your shorts or look for shorts on reaction zones or on typical TP areas. So the first one that I would be looking at for Peppy, if we do get a short-term move, you could start fiddling around in that type of region. You're going to look for some kind of reaction there, at least a TP. For the bears out there, you can look for 99.3, that type of level. could give you an opportunity there for a rejection, and then maybe send that guy a little bit lower, and then the same a little bit higher up. So the same way we play our reaction zones when we are dropping to the downside, when things are pumping, everybody's euphoric, you want to be paying attention to the big reaction zones, and these are two of them for you on Peppy that you can play with on this 1 hour chart. So if you do catch along here, just be careful. 99.4 1027, 99.4 1027, those are most likely nice little short areas that you guys could be looking for when we pump into those zones. And I've inverted the chart. You can see what would happen here. We would break that trend. Okay, then we'd look for that rejection in that type of area over there. So it could be interesting game plan there on Peppy for you guys if you are interested in stuff like that. Okay, here's Injective. Wow, this thing was a roller coaster today, and I took the Sniper Club members through like the whole trading process on Injective. Okay, there was lots of squeaky bum time, and in fact, I'm actually going to show you. I'm going to show you the Discord as well, because it was pretty wild today. What happened with Injective? So let me just grab this thing. Here is Sniper Signals. Where are we? Okay, so what I like to do every day in Sniper Club is to drop a market report as to what I think is happening for the day. I drop Bitcoin charts, I drop some altcoin charts that I'm interested in, I drop a liquidation chart, just give people a feel as to what I'm watching for the day. And then, you know, if trades do start cropping up and things like that, then, you know, I post them in either my section or I post them in Sniper Signals. And one of the ones today that we were looking at was this Injective trade idea. So I first dropped it in my section earlier, and then I thought, let me drop this in Sniper Signals. So what I do is I give everybody a nice rundown as to why I think it's interesting, why there could be a bounce, what I'm watching, and just give you my thinking behind the whole process. And what I did here today, I dropped the Injective earlier, and I said, look, I'm waiting for it to drip into this region. And one of the things I said, I need a candle close under 19.37 to invalidate the trade. Now, typically, if you can watch the trade in front of you, it's ideally you want to look for those stop hunts and a candle close rather than a hard stop, because we know if you've been watching long enough, these guys love to come and grab some stops and then send things a little bit higher. So that is what I pointed out earlier. Then, you know, throughout the day, things started moving up. Okay, we moved into our entry box, and we started looking at entries there on Injective. Then the market started falling over a little bit, and I was saying, guys, looking for this candle close before I cut my position in that region. So you can see they were flirting with our stop loss there, and then we had a massive pump. Okay, they came for that stop hunt, and then they popped it higher, and then there was just chop non-stop all over the place. You can see at one point we got nice and green, but we rejected off that anchored VWAP. And then I was saying to the guys, now's the time to de-risk here if you want to put your stops at entry. So it was a wild Injective trade, basically for nothing. Okay, went up, went down, stopped at entry, but at least you guys got a bit of the process there and thinking behind it. So if you're interested in stuff like that on Sniper Club, come and join us. Okay, there's tons happening, and Sheldon's starting up his 10x channel in Sniper Club soon as well, and that's going to be cooking again. So let's talk Injective, and a bigger picture here, Injective on the 12-hour. So we're looking at it in two ways now. Number one, we zoomed out bigger picture to say what is actually going on here. This is actually bearish. Okay, on the 12-hour, this thing is bearish. But if something is bearish on the 12-hour, it doesn't mean you can't get short-term bounces. So you can see what happened last time. We dumped, we had a nice pump. What did we do? We rejected at trend. So just like I've shown you guys before, if we lose that trend, same type of situation. We did a trend retest and a bounce there on Injective. So now what we're looking at is a potential bearish scenario playing out. So in between that, you can get these bounces that I've shown you. And one of the bounces I was looking at today was that little scalp trade that we were trying to play for a couple of percent there. I was looking for about a 6% move on Injective. So currently we are in a downtrend, as you can see, and the high conviction zone is actually lower down. It's tied in with this trend at 17. Okay, is this a possibility? Yes. If this downtrend plays out, then we're looking at something like that for Injective. Now, we can always change our bias as we go along, as when we have new information. Every day we have new info in front of us. We know what Bitcoin is doing. If it breaks bullish levels, then we can start flipping more bullish on altcoins. But right now, as I've explained, BTC is actually looking bearish, and some of these altcoins are looking bearish. So big high conviction level for me on Injective at 17, and that is where I'm looking for, you know, a banger long. But I suspect we do get a bounce here. 18.7. You can see that's a 618. That was a previous bounce zone for us as well. So I'm watching that on the 12-hour. Now, let's take a look at the 1-hour chart. So this is what we teamed up earlier now in Sniper Club. And that level, that original level that we were watching was off that 618 fib. And you can see now what happened in that dump. Ray, this is, we missed this one. Look at that. Okay, so we had that entry zone there at in that 618 region, and the stop zone was under that anchored VWAP that we were looking at. Now we've lost it. Okay, what do we do when the market starts falling over? You immediately need to identify, before this happens preferably, where your next zone is, where your next level is, so that you can be prepared. If you're watching it live, it's often a gift. When the market starts dumping quite hard, they often give you a gift. They give you a hard reaction in a good, solid fib region. And Injective is just a great example here for you guys. And what does Ramesh say? Will my near hit TP or what? Bro, what's going on here with me? Come on, bro. Come on.
Man, I don't know what's going on today. Everyone's wrecked.
Oh, everyone's so funny today. What is happening here? So what I want to show you here, this mega dump that we had on Injective after we lost that region over there. Look at this ping on the 786. So all I did was pull my fib from the lows on the October dumps. Okay, we've pulled the fibs from the lows to the highs there. Look at that, lows to the highs, bang, on that 786 fib. Perfect little reaction. Sometimes these things are really simple, and you can see that fib ties in with that horizontal. So that gives you a nice little scalp trade for the proper degens out there. Okay, so that's why sometimes you see I get super excited when the candles are red. Okay, it might be a little bit counterintuitive, but I know when these candles are red, this is where we get these little reactions where they can give you money off these reaction areas. So if you just take a look at that, if you're just playing that 786 fib pool, your bounce there, little 2% bounce, you're already out of risk there, and then you can start raising your stops off those types of areas. So nice little play there on Injective. And now if the market starts pushing higher, we can see on the 1 hour, Injective is also bearish. So if we go back on the 12-hour, you can see 12-hour time frame, it's bearish. Now we've dialed in. Okay, and you can see on this 1 hour setup, it's also pretty bearish. So any pumps out of Injective, you want to look to potentially exit relatively quickly. So if you do get a pump now, 20.16, that's an exit or a short zone. 20.7, that's an exit or a short zone on Injective that you want to be looking at. Bogdan, Filecoin is dead, bro. Filecoins, I haven't looked at that in a while. Okay, I've started putting Filecoin in the bucket, the same bucket that Matic is in at the moment, but I stand to be corrected if that thing can start moving. Okay, so Injective plan. If we get a pump now, these are your short zones, 20.16, 20.76. Those are your potential minimum TP areas, okay? Tightening up stop zones, bears, that is where you're looking for potential short plays. And you can see, ideally, you want to just make sure you have a little bit of confluence along the way. So if we do get that rejection, I mean, look at this little picture here. Look at that. Okay, we got a potential head and shoulders coming here for us on Injective. Wouldn't that make sense there? That could be fun as well. Okay, so that could be a nice little play there on Injective that you could look for. That little pump into that area, maybe a head and shoulders on the 1 hour, and then they send us a little bit lower. So not to freak anybody out, not to get too bearish, but these types of things are starting to give us a couple of hints as to what is happening out there. And Ivan, he was complaining that I was too bearish yesterday, bro. I'm trying not to be, but we just got this information in front of us. Okay, I've got 2 charts from you guys. You asked in the chats. Remember, after the show, drop in the comments the charts you want me to look at. Ray grabs some of them for me. He lets me know, and I incorporate in the show. But you have to drop it after the show because otherwise we can't see it. If it's in the live chat, I can't go back and see what these charts are. And the first one was PopCat, and we did cover that yesterday. And the other one was Bonk. So we got a couple here that we need to look at. So PopCat, very interesting one. And I mean, it's quite uncanny that everyone started calling meme coin super cycles at the top of the pump. And now PopCat is dropping lower. Okay, so what I could suggest here, PopCat on the daily, what you really need to watch, your main level. Okay, now this is degens aside. Your main level you're watching is this one region on PopCat. And it looks pretty simple. It looks pretty clean to me. If we get a push into 1, that is where I'm looking for a nice strong bounce on PopCat. Look how much resistance we had on these daily candles. We had a week of resistance in that zone. Typical, pops through that area. Look for that retest. Then we look for a big bounce. So PopCat traders looking at about 1. Okay, if you are trading this thing spot, you can have your stop under 0.85, that type of region, because that's most likely another bounce zone that I would watch. Look at that. We've got our anchored VWAP from September. We've also got our horizontals in play there. So that's a nice juicy zone there for me on PopCat. So all is not lost on PopCat. Got bags of this stuff, want to send it higher. 2.2 is my target for PopCat. How do we get there? Well, I think it's a matter of time, but we just let it play out. Okay, let it play out along the way. Let's see what else. That idiot and his Apple headset is so degen. Guys, don't be mean to Ray. Okay, Ray's a fucking legend, dude. Don't be like that. He's a legend.
I think they just need a headset. Do you want a headset, Skins?
He needs a headset.
Maybe you'll get a headset. We'll see what happens.
Come on, Skins, bro. Come on. Let's be nice. Let's be nice. Okay, what else? I've got Bonk for you guys. So this one also, I mean, Bonk, I'm watching this thing closely, okay? I really think Bonk, when it breaks this 200-day moving average, you can see at the top here, things are going to get spicy on Bonk, okay? So this one I'm watching closely lately, looking for some kind of play here on Bonk. Now you can see after yesterday's rejection, I mean, look at this. We were sitting here yesterday, looking for that pop. We were waiting for that to happen for us. Now we've had a monster rejection. So where's a reasonable area now to look for Bonk? Look, for me, lower down. Okay, I'm watching this 786 zone. You can see why. Look at that. Big zone here. Just like Injective, we had the same cluster of horizontals in that type of area. So for me, Bonk's looking a little bit bearish here. So I'd like to see it lower down, 0.02, that type of region. That is where I'm going to start hunting again. Alternatively, if this thing starts running away from us, now this is a super sharp dump. Okay, so we could get a situation in the market where you get a quick bounce. Okay, I don't like the look of the super sharp downtrend. I mean, it's quite offensive, the way they push this thing down so hard. So you could get quite a sharp bounce here on Bonk. So we're going to have to watch that one closely, and it might end up a situation here where you start trading the breakout or you start trading horizontal breakout. So what I can suggest here on Bonk, if it does run away from us today, what you need to watch is just bang out your horizontals where you have some kind of confluence. Now you can see I've got the 100-day MA sitting here. We know that that is a zone of interest. So we know this whole region over here is an interesting zone for us. So if Bonk starts turning aggressive now today, okay, let's say it starts pushing higher. When you start piercing that type of level there, when you start blowing that type of horizontal, that is where you can start getting interested on Bonk. Then you're going to look to bang a stop under one of these candles that retests in that area. So let it pop higher. Then you're going to just look for that retest in that zone, 0.0213, 0.0214, somewhere there. Okay, that could give you a potential trade on Bonk. So let it come higher first. You want to see it pop. Okay, when it pops that zone, then you're going to look for that degen play off that level, 0.0214. Okay, that could then start riding you to that 200-day. If you do get a guard mode entry on Bonk and this market turns bullish and your entry is down here, 214, 216, somewhere in that area, and you start blowing that 200-day MA, imagine how much fun you're going to have by adding to that position and growing your size on Bonk. So watch that one closely. Be patient here. Either lower, either higher, one of these two needs to play out. Now, remember, guys, anything you need, anything you see me talk about is in the show description. I was speaking about 𝗙𝗥𝗟𝗪𝗪 yesterday, and I don't think it was in the show description. So whoever was using 𝗙𝗥𝗟𝗪𝗪 or was interested in that, what Chaos was talking about, there is a link for you now in the description here. You can find it there, probably 5th or 6th from the top. 𝗙𝗥𝗟𝗪𝗪 is there, plus all the exchanges that I trade with and use. And those of you that bought the ledger, that emailed giveaways at Banter yesterday, congrats, you have already been sent your futures bonus. Okay, so if you didn't receive your futures bonus, just reply to those emails, let them know. But we've been told that anybody who bought, the 4 people that bought the ledger and had the WEX, you have now been sorted out from yesterday. Okay, guys, that's that. Okay, don't be too bearish, don't be too bullish. Watch the levels. We play the game. Okay, you know what you need for Bitcoin. Ray, just where are we here, bro? I think it front ran that zone. I think it's front ran that area. Okay, I'm watching 61,600. I'm waiting for that. Okay, let's see if we get it. 61,600. That's my zone that I wanted to see. Okay. Right now, there is support anchored VWAP 62K. You can use that. You can see there was buy up in that zone as well on the 4 hour. Interesting. Okay, guys, I'm done. Good luck. It's choppy out there. Be safe. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Catch you later. Right, did you get liquidated?